So today we're answering the question, are your funds guaranteed? So welcome to another video in our series, Financial Dream Building. And this series clarifies a lot of misconception people have as it relates to money, and it will help you make more informed decisions. So if you're new to this channel, my name is Genese Smith, and I'm a transformational life coach. And my strongest desire is to help individuals step out in confidence, especially after a very challenging time. And if you want to learn more about finances and just getting information on making informed decisions, just start now by subscribing and clicking the bell so that you don't miss any of our videos posted weekly on a Monday. And you can also check out Financial Dream Building playlist to see previous topics that we have been discussing. And in with me, I have Glen, and he's here with me, and he's a financial advisor as well as an infinite banking practitioner, and he provides expertise around the topic of insurance and financial education. And Glen is very passionate about what he does. And as I said before, if you have missed any of our videos with Glen in our series on financial dream building, you can go ahead and just check them out in Financial Dream Building playlist. Glen, welcome back to another week in our series.
Thank you, Genese. Great to be back.
Great. And before I start the whole thing, I just want to ask that our listeners, have you subscribed to this channel as yet? Make sure to hit that red subscribe button and be notified of all the contents, just to be your best self and also to keep on top of all the finances that we have been discussing. So today we're talking about segregated funds. And Glen, I realize not many people are familiar with segregated funds, as they are with mutual funds. So can you tell us what is a segregated fund?
Okay, I mean, if you are familiar with mutual funds, it's a grouping of funds that contain many pieces of many different companies. So as opposed to owning, like say, a stock of Apple or Tesla, right? You might have a fund that has a little piece of one of those stocks. So you could have a mutual fund, but a segregated fund is unique in a bunch of ways. One of them is that they're only issued by insurance companies.
Good to know.
And along with that comes some differences because now they're governed by the insurance acts provincially, right, as opposed to securities legislation. So there's a bit of a difference there.
Okay, right. And would you like to discuss any more differences between segregated fund and a mutual fund so that our listeners can know?
Sure. So a segregated fund, I'd mentioned insurance companies, and one of the biggest reasons for that, well, it's an insurance product. So where is that different? Well, an insurance product comes with some guarantees. Right, segregated fund comes with some guarantees. It comes with what's called a maturity benefit guarantee, and those can vary from 75% to 100%. And it also comes with a death benefit guarantee, which also sometimes is 75% or 100% of net deposits. So I'll give you an example. Let's just say, you over time deposit $100,000. Okay, you have made any withdrawals. So if your maturity benefit is 75%, over the course of the next 10 years, if the markets tank, and let's say your actual funds are at 58,000, what happens is that at that 10-year mark, you would get topped up to 75% of your 100,000, which is 75,000. So you would get topped up that extra $18,000, whatever it is, to make you have $75,000. Or if it's the 100% maturity benefit guarantee, so most of those are over 15 years, but same thing would happen. If you got 50,000 or 70 odd, then it would be topped up to 100. So it's a way to invest and then make sure you can at least secure your principal over a certain amount of time, right? And that can be huge for a lot of people, especially when we're talking bigger lump sums, like say pensions, right? Or RSPs that you saved up for a long time. You want to invest, but you also want to make sure that if things go wrong, as markets are unpredictable, that at least there's some guarantees to look forward to, right, for staying invested. Now, on the death benefit side, the other side of it, it does not have that same time limit. So again, if I have $100,000 invested and, things go crazy, market's down to 70,000 and I pass away, what will happen is my family will still be topped up and get $100,000. So it's a great peace of mind tool to invest, knowing that this is going to be my minimum payout for my family in case I'm gone. And there's a few other things that helps with as well. Death benefit guarantees when you have a family class beneficiary, so parents, children, grandchildren, that also bypasses probate, which is huge. Now, the bigger the families, generally, the bigger the, how would you put it? The bigger disagreements in most cases.
Right.
And we've heard of people, not just the wealthy, where there's been disputes over estates and people don't agree with how things went. Maybe there wasn't a will or not a will that everybody's happy with. Right now, one of the pluses, or even if things are good, and there's several children, depending on someone passes away and their holdings. If you have to go through the process of probate, if anyone's gone through this, you're looking at, if you're lucky, 3 to 6 months on the early end, and it could be years depending on complications before things can get taken care of. But with a segregated fund, with those family class beneficiaries, you put them as the beneficiaries and you pass, that money is going to them likely within a couple of weeks to a month of all the paperwork coming in. So they get paid out fairly quickly, and it's private. And we can address that a little bit more after.
Okay, sure. So with all of this that you've mentioned, I mean, you've mentioned quite a few benefits so far. Does it cost more to invest in segregated funds than mutual funds?
Yes, it does. Just like anything else, if you're going to get the guarantee, you're going to pay a little bit more, right? It just is what it is. But then it becomes a feature benefit as opposed to, as people put it, a cost, right? I talk about feature benefits, and we talk about when we're talking about these bigger lump sums. And I use it quite vividly with a client about 12 years ago, the first time. He had some substantial funds. We were talking about it, and I said, okay, let's say you have 2 million. It wasn't quite there, but let's say you have 2 million, right? You like me, you really want to work with me, and you say, you know what, Glenn, I've got this other guy that I've worked with for a while. I'm gonna leave $1 million with him and put $1 million with you. How's that? Like, well, you know what? Sure, we'll do that. Now, we picked a similar fund, but mine is a segregated fund to your insurance company, and his is not. We invest in it, and this would have been, let's say it was about 2007 for argument's sake, right before the big hit of that average of 30% down on balanced funds. So he goes along, opens his statements in 2008, sees that his million with both of us is 600 plus thousand, say 700,000. Heart attack, he's gone, right? He didn't love that example, but it drove the point home, and follow along with me. So I said, heart attack, and he's gone. He's like, oh my God, my 2 million's down to about 1.4. I'll never recover this. Now I said, the thing you would have forgotten is this, that, okay, we're in a down market. So you pass the funds you have elsewhere. Now they can't be moved out of where they are because you've passed. So until that is dealt with, if the market's going down, you just got to keep watching it go down, 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 down. And your beneficiaries will get what's left when everything is settled. That's a little bit of a scary thought for him. Well, and as I said, you can't complain, you're already dead, because we're using the example, right? But I said, but the thing you forgot with the 700,000 with me is that when you do pass, your family's going to get topped up back to your full $1 million. So that's the insurance. Now, people talk fees all the time and say, yes, you know, this costs a little bit more. We do it all the time. If you buy coffee, it's cheaper to brew your own.
Yes.
So you go to Tim Hortons or Starbucks, you made a decision to say, this is a better benefit for me, I'm going to go here, as opposed to brewing mine at home every single day. It's feature benefit, right? Does something for you, therefore you find that it's worth it. And it's that simple when it comes down to segregated funds. So his spouse not only gets a full $1 million from me, she's going to get it within a few weeks of us getting the paperwork. So within a month of his passing, she's got $1 million. It's going to take her at the very least another few months to get what was 700 when he passed, but could be going down, could be going the other way as well. But she has no control over that at the time until the process is done. So you get control, you get certainty as far as a minimum payout goes, right? You get expediency. It goes fairly quickly to your family, bypasses probate, which in Alberta is no big deal, $250. But in another province, right? If we're talking, another province, you could be talking $20,000 to $30,000 for probate for $2 million.
Right.
Right? Well, that gets to stay with the family. So the money goes. I didn't mention that part. There's also privacy. When you have multiple children, Genese, it's such a powder keg at times. Fair, but not equal treatment. Fair, but not equal. If I've got 2 kids and one of them's been fantastic, always checking on me, helping out, and one I don't hear from tells me off every few years because they didn't think I did enough for them, and I'm sitting there with my $1 million, do I want to give them both $500,000? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I want to give one $300,000, I want to give one $700,000. It is my choice because it is my money. So what I can do is I can set up a couple of different accounts, make beneficiary. It's a private contract. So on my passing, whoever is the beneficiary of that contract goes and redeems it. Now, unless they go talk to each other and say, Dad left me this, nobody knows what happened. It's a great way to do estate equalization and to settle estates in a fair, but not necessarily equal way.
Okay.
Right? And of course, they get their funds quicker and it's private. So huge advantages, multiple advantages, and those are a few of them.
Great. Yeah, so it's more like a package that people are getting, so it's more like value. So you get what you pay for. So it's not just one product, but you have product services, and you also have people's needs being met at the same time, which is awesome, right? So, right. So, it's good. And I really love the idea of segregated funds. And as I say, I'm sure a lot of people haven't heard much about segregated funds. You don't hear a lot about it. You hear more talk about mutual funds. So I know, Glenn, that you're open to answer questions. So, we just want our viewers to know that your information is there in the description below. So if they have any more questions, if they want to know more about segregated funds and how it applies to them, and I'm sure everybody's situation is different.
Cut you off, Genese. One more important point I wanted to make there. Sorry to cut you there. We're not quite the US where we're being litigious, everybody's suing everybody, but it's starting to happen more. Right? So if you've got funds that you're in segregated funds, now let me put a caveat to that. If you know you're about to be sued and then all of a sudden you move all your money in segregated funds, we can see that something was coming. So that'd be a little bit different. But if you've had contracts for a couple of years that you've built your wealth in, and you have your family class beneficiaries again, parents, children, grandchildren, and someone decides to come and sue you, those funds have a layer of protection. So there's built-in creditor protection as well, which is huge. That is huge, right? So that is, the benefits can be quantified in ways that you don't even think of at the beginning. It's like buying that car. You know what? I like the look of this car. I like this little Toyota. It looks nice. And yeah, it's good on gas. You buy it for that. You may forget about the 5-star safety rating. And that doesn't make a bit of difference to you until a car crash happens. But what happens when that car crash happens? Car with a 5-star safety rating. Segregated funds can be the same. You may buy it for 1 or 2 of the benefits, but when you realize the multiple benefits that come along with it, when you do need them, you'll be really glad they're there. Right? So for more information, that is why you speak to experts like myself, because you can get the information that makes sense for your situation. Right? So as Genese was saying, for more information, you can find contact info at the bottom. Sorry, I had to throw that in. Couldn't leave the credit.
That's awesome. Yeah, you didn't mention that before, so it's glad that you could add it, and we're glad to know that. So yes,
there's so many layers. Some of the newer ones now, they have what's called like yearly death benefit resets. Like if you deposited your funds this year And on the anniversary next year, if you put in, say, 100,000 this year, and next year it's at 110, well, then it automatically locks in that as your new death benefit, even though you don't pay 100. So if you put and it's at 80, 90, it's 110 that gets paid out. Again, not up by a full 10%, but just giving you an example, right? If it's 10% up, or a year like last year where things were down and they shot up, if you want to 120 on your anniversary, then depending on the contract, that's your new death benefit. That is huge. How do you quantify that? You don't.
It's hard to.
Not one of those things you can sit and quantify early. It's just when the benefit is there and you get to realize it, you'll be glad you're in that vehicle. Just like with the 5-star rating on the car, right? So we'll leave it at that.
Well, thanks so much, Glenn. And that's all we have for today. So thanks for joining us. And we will see you next week again as we talk about financial dream building. So thanks again for joining us. Bye for now.
Thank you. Take care.